Hello, Simon Keeling here, and it's Wednesday the 7th of March. Thanks for watching. As usual, the forecast is kept free of charge by the adverts that you see around the screen. So if you see one you like, click on it, go through to the advertiser. It's that generates revenue for us, and it also shows the advertiser that you're interested in what we're doing. Okay, got the 7 to 10 day mean forecast charts in front of you here for 500 millibars from the ECMWF on the left and the GFS on the right. We use 500 millibars because it basically gives us a better overall look as to how conditions are expected to develop in the coming days. It gets rid of the minor perturbations that take place when we look at surface charts. So on the left hand side here we've got the ECMWF mean of the 500 millibar flow. So this is valid from next Wednesday through to Saturday the 17th. And notice there's a ridge of high pressure across the British Isles. These red colours here indicating that heights are above normal. Got a trough out in the Atlantic. Here on the GFS too, remarkable consistency with this ridge and the 500 millibar flow across the British Isles again. GFS does have the jet stream a little bit closer towards northern parts of Scotland there, but generally these two are in good agreement. So that indicates that we can have reasonable agreement in the forecast that high pressure is going to be somewhere around during this forecast period. Okay, so the North Atlantic oscillation showing quite strong at first, in strong positive territory, look, with the strong westerly winds coming across the Atlantic. This is the more unsettled conditions over the next few days, but then watch what happens. It goes down towards more neutral territory, and this is indicative of that westerly flow weakening across the Atlantic, and it's here where high pressure really starts to dominate conditions across the British Isles. So if we take a look at the ensemble model, you can get this from the site that you're on now. All you need to do is go to the top of the page, click on weather charts, and then down the left hand side here you'll see that we've got various different models referred to. I'll talk about the CFS in just a moment because I made that live last night, and it's got some interesting stuff on there, but I'll show you that in just a moment. But what I want to show you first of all here is the GFS ensemble, and if you click on rain, it'll bring you up a surface pressure chart with the rain there as well. And notice how on here, well, this is this morning's rain just clearing through on the cold front. There's the time and the date that the chart refers to up in the top right hand corner. If we knock it on, you'll notice how that high pressure towards the south of the country builds northwards as we go through the next few days and into the weekend, and how it really becomes a dominating feature across most of the British Isles during the days ahead. So we are going to be seeing plenty of dry weather around during the days ahead, and it looks as if that really is going to be dominating things as we go through the rest of this weekend and into next week too. So let's just knock on the charts. There we are, look, there's high pressure, it's still in control. Here we are heading into next week, and the high slips away towards the east, and the effect of that is to bring in a more of a south to southeasterly flow, increasing temperatures but keeping most parts of the country generally fairly dry. And you see how that lasts right the way through until the middle stages of the month, until we get into the second third of the month too. Scotland, western parts of Ireland always seeing a risk of some spots of rain around northern and western coast, but generally for many it looks as if it is going to be staying generally dry. And if we look at the cities forecast, you will notice how the temperature profile picks up quite nicely on that. Look, here's the cold conditions that we've seen over the past few days. There they are clearing away, and then temperatures generally rising. These red lines here are the 6 hourly maximum temperatures, and you see how temperatures generally rise through the weekend and early next week, perhaps just cooling off a little bit during the back end of the forecast period, taking us up to the 23rd of March, but generally temperatures pretty stable, holding it just above normal for the time of year. The blue lines are minimum temperatures, and notice how those just don't slip below freezing, so it looks as if we are going to be relatively frost free. Now, I said at the beginning of the recording that I was going to tell you about the CFS model, which I've just added to the site, and you can find that here by clicking at the top left hand corner. So click on the CFS page, and this brings you up the CFS model. Now you do have to be very careful when you're using this model. The CFS is a long range model that's unlike any others. It's not like looking at a day-to-day atmospheric model and making a prediction for, let's say, a week on Tuesday. You can't do that with the CFS. You have to take a longer view on it, and you have to look at it every single day to get a feel for where it's going and how consistent it is in the predictions that it's making. Now, what I'm showing you here at the moment, and that I have very many more charts to add from the CFS, which I'm hoping are going to prove useful for you, particularly those who need to plan further in advance. So what we have here is the mean maximum temperatures for weeks in the UK. So we go from week 1 right the way through to between week 24 and week 28. So effectively that's going ahead to 28 weeks, which is of course 6 months. And that produces charts like this. So this is the mean maximum temperature for the week ending the 13th of March, and it's gridded up in Celsius across the country. So what you can do is you can go between these weeks and just see how temperatures are expected to change during the coming few weeks. You see how it's making it cooler, trying to make it cooler towards the end of the month, and also for that early part of April before things warm up, according to the CFS, around the middle part of April, taking us through into later in the month and into May too, but not warming up drastically until that last week of April into the early part of May. So you have to take guidance from this as to how it's actually seeing patterns develop. Also, you can get city forecasts on here. Now, these are daily forecasts of temperature going ahead. I've got them on here for the next 6 weeks or so. Now, just be aware of this. These are maximum temperatures in red, they're blue temperatures, the minimum temperatures in blue. Just look at the overall trend, look for cold periods. So here's a cooler spell look from the 17th of March through to about the 25th, and then it generally warms temperatures up. But again, you do have to be very careful with it. Look at the forecasts from previous days, see how they compare, look for consistency in the model. And then we've got rainfall on here as well, and this shows up quite nicely when conditions are going to be turning more wet. This is the week ending the 13th, so you can then knock it on, look onto different weeks. So this is the week that ends the 20th of March. You see how we got very little rain across the country. And then the week ending the 27th, look, it's highlighting that dry conditions extend across much of Europe and also into the UK. And again, going into week 4, look, we are generally dry, but look how much rain is forecast across southern parts of Europe at the end of March and into the beginning part of April. And you can kind of get a feel for how conditions are expected to develop during the coming weeks and during the coming months. Excuse me. So it's useful to give yourself a guidance as to how conditions are likely to develop, and by watching this forecast on a day-to-day basis, you can get an indication as to how the pattern is going to be shaping out. Now, what I do is I issue to clients a more detailed forecast. I issue a discussion about what the CFS is doing and what other models are doing as well. And until now, this has kind of been a closed product, but I've made it available for you to purchase online, so you can see the sort of thing that that it does, and you can view a free sample of the forecast too by clicking here. If you want to buy it, just click on Buy Now, and you can buy the complete product. It runs to, I think it's about 7 or 8 pages. But hopefully that will give you more information about the CFS, or hopefully that's given you more information about the CFS, and just get used to using it. Come back, use it every single day, and just see how it develops. It may help you out in just spotting warmer, cooler, wetter and dry periods. Okay, thanks for watching. Keep the sun shining, and as always, the sites get free of charge by the adverts you see around the screen. So click on an advert if you see one you like. That generates revenue for us, and it shows the sponsor you're interested in what they're doing. So thanks again for watching, and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.